Welcome and good morning to High Volume Selling. This first tape you're watching today is called The Decision. And the reason I called it The Decision is because my belief is that each of us that are watching this particular tape have certain decisions we have to make, and we have to make them very soon, and I'm going to recommend you start making them today. Decisions revolving about your career, your business, your income, what you want to do with this business over the next several years. I think one of the challenges most real estate agents face is they never put themselves in a position to force themselves to make decisions as to what they're going to do. As you know, in the real estate business, it's not a difficult business to get into. It's not a difficult business to stay in, but it's a difficult business to succeed in. A very, very small percentage of the agents that ever start in real estate make a good living at it, much less make a lot of money. My whole goal is to make you a high volume producer if you make the decision to be a high volume producer. See, some of the decisions you have to come to are things like, how many deals do you really want to do per month this year, next year, and the year after? How much money do you want to earn? How big a producer do you want to become? How long do you want to stay in the business? And these are things that you have to look at and answer for yourself. So as we start this particular tape, I want you to think about the fact that my goal is to help you become as big a producer as you would like to become. My goal is to make the transition from where you are to where you want to be not an easy transition, but a very doable transition so you can become a more productive member of the real estate industry. The challenge, and I know, is that, as I said a minute ago, a major portion of all the agents fail in this business. I don't know what the failure rate is today in real estate, but I would guesstimate that 60 to 70% of all the agents that start fail within their first 12 to 18 months. Now, they're not failing because of excessive income. They're not failing because they're doing too many deals. It's because they haven't learned how to do the business that is required for people like yourself to become more productive. Therefore, calling this particular tape The Decision becomes critical because you do have to make some tough decisions. Now, you've already made the decision to go through licensing school, to go through the process, to choose a great broker like you've chosen to work with. You made the decision to be a real estate salesperson. Now the decisions as to what you're going to learn, how you're going to apply it, what you're going to do become critical in your career. The decision as to the quality of service you're going to offer, how you're going to offer that service, how much you're going to learn to make it happen, and going back to the obvious, the decisions about money, production, transactions, etc. So as we look at this first video, I want you to think simply about the fact that it is time for you to draw a line in the sand and make a decision as to where you want to go with your business. I've been very fortunate to have been doing seminars for real estate people now for in excess of 30 years. And just as I say that, it's hard for me to comprehend. I've been told nearly 1 million real estate salespeople like yourselves in our seminars. And in doing those seminars, I've always started every seminar with the same thought, that there's 3 things we have to accomplish in our time together. This series of videos that you're watching is a very extensive series. It covers every aspect that I know of to help you become a highly productive member of the real estate society. More importantly, to make the decisions you have to make and make them in a good way. And I always start by saying there's 3 things that we have to accomplish in our time together. Number 1 is to help you learn the skills that are required to become a very productive real estate person. So let's define productive. You see, if you take a look at our business today, the average agent in North America is doing 3 to 4 transactions per year. Now, if all those transactions were $1 million homes, then they would make a reasonable living. But you and I both know in North America, the average sales price certainly is not $1 million per house, and the average agent is not making those kind of commissions. But if the average agent is making 3 or 4 transactions per year at this time, we know one thing: they're not earning the money that is required for them to live their life right. Why can they not do more transactions? The answer is always the same. They don't have the basic skills required to become productive in this business. So therefore, the first thing we have to look at, and the first objective is always the same, and that is to learn basic skills. See, whether it be a doctor, a lawyer, a pilot, myself speaking, you as a realtor, anybody that doesn't know the skills to do the job they have to do does not last on the job very long. We're 100% involved in a skills-based business. Selling is a skilled-based business. As you learn certain skills, your confidence increases. As your confidence increases, your chance for success goes up with it. So the first thing we want to look at and have as an objective is to say, okay, what skills do we have to know What skills do we have to learn to make ourselves achieve the goals we've set based on the decisions that we're making? Our second goal, of course, is critical, and that is to help you make enough money to make this business worthwhile. Then once you've learned to make enough money to make a lot of money, if that's what you want to do. Now, you and I know a majority of all people in life do not want to make a lot of money. They're very complacent. They're very happy with what they have. They're very comfortable just getting by. And if that is your goal, if that's the decision you make, that's fine. We can assist you in that process. You can learn enough skills to get by. You can learn enough skills to make a good living. You can learn enough skills to make a ton of money in this business if you choose to. But the decision regarding money is a critical decision. Now, you and I also know that since complacency is a major factor in people's lives, as we become more complacent or satisfied with what we have, our desire to make more money many times diminishes. So therefore, I want to talk to you throughout the course in this series about the importance of money, of making money, the advantages of money, and what that can do for you. Now, you and I all know that people have hang-ups regarding money. I mean, there's no question about that. When you talk to people every single day and you talk to them about the issue of money, some people get excited, some people get depressed. And that always depends upon where they're coming from, what they have, what they've done, their environment, their education, the church they grew up in, their family, their peers. They all decide how you're going to think about money unless you choose to think differently about money. In this series, we're going to spend a lot of time teaching you the skills so you can make a lot of money. For the last 30 years, I have been criticized nonstop as I did seminars because they say I talk about money too much. Of course, my belief is this. Everything about our business of real estate revolves around money. Sellers sell their homes for money. They're selling them to take cash out, to get a profit in most cases, to make money. Buyers buy homes with money. Your mortgage company is lending money. Your broker's in business to make a profit, which is money. You're in the business of earning money. Now, question. What does a person have to do to increase their earnings and or their income? See, my belief is that the money that you earn is a direct reflection of the service that you offer other people. So therefore, the higher the quality of service extended, the more money you get back in return. So therefore, if you're in real estate today and you've been in the business for a while and you're not earning the kind of money you want, that tells me that it's simple. You have not given the service required to other people to get back the money that you deserve or you think you should have. As the level of service increases, income always goes up. What do buyers and sellers want? High quality service from real estate people. And they will pay for that service in every case by paying you money, which is the form of commissions. So therefore, money is nothing more than a measuring stick of how well we're doing in our life and in our business. So therefore, if you're sitting here today watching this and hoping and praying that you can make some money, improve your skills, improve your service, and money always follows. If you're sitting here today saying, I don't want to know how to sell, I don't have to learn what Mike Ferry's teaching, but I still want to make money, it's a very challenging thing you're going to face. So one of the things I'm going to ask you to make a decision on is to resolve some of the thoughts you have about money and why you have them and how we can dispel some of the negative ones, put some good thoughts in with good skills to make more money. So our first objective is always in this series to have you learn the skills of what top producers are doing nationwide and have done for 30 years. I've been very lucky. And I say that to you meaningfully. I've been very lucky to have virtually thousands of the most successful people in this industry go to my seminars, attend my events, be involved in our coaching, listen to our tapes, our CDs, our videos, etc., and use what we teach to help them learn the skills. If you take a look at most of the major real estate firms in North America today, a very strong percentage of those people are Mike Ferry trained agents. So we know what it takes for you to become a high volume person. We know what it takes for you to make the decision. The question is, will you make the decision to learn the skills required so you can earn the money that you want? Which is the first two objectives we have in our program. The third objective we have in every program is always the same, and that is to try to enjoy the experience. Learning how to sell, learning anything can be very tedious. And my belief is that tediousness can lead to some stress. If you're stressed out about your income and your skills, you probably are not going to have as much fun as you want. I believe that we all need to have more fun. It is the great stress reliever in life, having fun. So therefore, if you can learn to laugh a little bit, laugh at yourself, laugh at what you do. I say to agents all the time, if you want to have a great laugh, just simply think about your production at this moment. Because in most cases, it's a joke, and you know it and I know it. So therefore, learning to have some fun relieves some of the stress you're going to experience as you're learning the things we're trying to teach you to help you make the money that you say you want to make. So topic number one, the decision. And you can see there's lots of decisions that have to be reached. If I was you, I would take the first part of this particular tape and I would replay it several times and think about the decisions you have to make. So let's look at the first really big decision that I believe a real estate person has to make as you go into this business. Decision number one probably is the toughest one. And you're probably well embedded in the business now that you're watching this. And if you're brand new, same concept applies. And the decision comes down to this. How do you plan to build your business? How do you plan to find the business you're going to have? How do you plan to acquire business so you can become a successful real estate person? In my opinion, and believe me when I tell you, I could be wrong about this, there's only 3 ways for a real estate person to end up getting business of any type. And the 3 ways are, number 1 is to buy the business. And we'll talk about what I mean by buying. Number 2 is to wait for the business to find you. And number 3 is to go out and earn it. So the decision you have to make is, do you want to buy business, do you want to wait for it, or do you want to go out and earn it? So let's look at those 3. If you've heard me speak in the past, you've heard me talk, in most cases, very critically of the real estate people who make the decision they want to buy business. Now, by buying business, it can be anything from running extensive advertising, okay, promoting themselves extensively, a lot of personal promotion, which agents use all the time to make themselves look good in the eyes of the public, tremendous amounts of direct mail, which people use to try to get people to call them. When any time you're going to spend an extensive amount of money to get people to find you, to call you, to come to you, anytime you're going to spend a lot of money to make that happen, you're trying to buy business. Well, buying business could be cutting commissions, because somebody could walk in and say, I charge 6%, somebody else says, I charge 5%, somebody else says, I charge 4%, and they're actually buying the business with the commission. Buying business could mean that you're overpricing a listing. You could walk into a house and tell the seller the property's worth $365,000. Agent B comes in and says it's worth $425,000, and Agent C takes it for $550,000. They've bought the listing through the commissions that they're willing to charge and the price they're willing to put on a house. So what we've discovered, and you know this for a fact, that in the industry today, a good percentage of all the top producers buy business. Now, the disadvantage of buying business is you're sacrificing profit for ego satisfaction. So one of the decisions that you have to make as you start with this today is, do you want your ego satisfied, which the answer is always yes, or do you want to have a higher profit margin for yourself, your family, and your future? Because if you want the maximum profit margin, you're going to have to think about the fact that buying business may not be the way. There's a lot of people that do the kind of work I do. You're going to be exposed to a lot of them if you've not already been exposed. And everybody has a different theory. Everybody comes in and says, this is what you do to sell real estate. And every one of them, and I'm glad they feel this way, say they are right, everybody else is wrong. Now, I am convinced that probably everybody is right. However, when it comes to profitability, which is a decision you have to make, remember, money, decision you have to make, I think the profitability for a real estate person is a critical decision. How do you become profitable? You earn X and only spend so much and keep the rest for yourself and your family. How do you become unprofitable? You spend the money that you're going to earn trying to get people to call you so you don't have to do anything, and you look real good to people because your name and your picture and your face is in front of the public all the time, which is very expensive to do, and therefore you're going to get calls, you're going to get listings, you're going to get sales, you're going to make some money, but your cost of acquiring, buying business becomes very high. I've met agents, guys and gals, that make $700,000 to $800,000 a year in real estate that are actually keeping for themselves $100,000 a year. Now, can you imagine? Just think about this. You make $800,000 the next 12 months, and you have $100,000 to spend, and all the rest is spent acquiring business. I saw an interview with an agent that made $2 million in real estate sales in terms of income for himself, and he had $100,000 to live on, spent all the money acquiring business. So you have to decide, which way you want to go. Do you want to buy business? If you're a new agent, you probably can't buy business unless you can borrow the money to fund the acquisition process. If you're an experienced agent, you know for yourself that it's very expensive to do that much direct mail, that much advertising, that much personal promotion, the billboards, the signs, all the things that people do to acquire business. Now, if you're an experienced veteran making a lot of money, what is the best way to take your business to the next level to have a high volume business, higher than what you have today? And if acquiring or buying is the road you choose, you can increase the amount of transactions you do, but your costs increase with it. So obviously one decision is to buy business. The second one is to wait for it to find you. Again, if you've seen me speak in the past, you know that I'm not a big fan of waiting. Now, what do I mean by waiting? Sitting in the office by your desk waiting for somebody to call you. That's waiting. Watch. Sitting, taking floor time, waiting for somebody to call on an ad or a sign. Watch. Sitting in an open house, waiting for somebody to walk in. Doing a mailing, waiting for somebody to call you back. Now, I don't know about you, but I can't even envision a person doing 25, 50, 75, 100 transactions a year, sitting in their office, sitting at their desk, waiting for a prolonged periods of time, hoping somebody calls them. Yet, let's be honest here, and I hope this doesn't offend any of you or the brokers that purchase this for you to watch, or if you purchase it for yourself, congratulations. Hope this doesn't offend you. But I mean, think this through for a minute. The industry teaches people to wait for business to find them. The industry's taught that for 50 years. They teach you to sit at an open house. Now, why do they teach you things that apparently don't work to help you sell in high volume? And the answer is really very simple. Because, see, if they teach you the kinds of things that I want you to learn over the next several hours that you're going to be watching these videos and training with me, if they teach you those and you don't get excited about them, which you're not, because these are tough things to learn, these skills to make the money, and then you get a little depressed or you get unhappy, you will then quit the company you're working for to go to work for a company that's going to treat you better and not make you work so hard. See, the truth is, the industry teaches us how to wait because they don't want to teach us what we have to do to earn business. And why are they afraid to teach you what to do to earn business? Because they're afraid of your response. See, if you're waiting, you get very little rejection. If you're buying business, you get very little rejection. But if you make the third decision, which is go out and earn the business, you're going to be rejected a lot. Now, let's be honest. Do salespeople like to be rejected? The answer is no in almost all cases. So, what? Decision one. Should I buy business? Do I have a budget available to spend on promotion, advertising, marketing, billboards, and all the rest so I can get somebody to call me to make my ego feel good because my picture's out there all the time? It's expensive. Or number two, should I wait for business to find me? I'm going to sit on the floor schedule. I'm going to take open houses. I'm going to sit there and wait for people to find me. Or number three, am I going to aggressively go out every day and find people who want to buy and sell? Now, of the many, many, many criticisms of Mike Ferry for the last 30 years, this has been the most critical one. And that is that I keep asking people like you to go out and find business. Now, let's think about that for a minute. We're going to talk about prospecting on a later tape in depth. But let's think about it for just a minute. What are the odds, if you're a new licensee, what are the odds of you doing 25 to 30 deals in the next 12 months, holding open house and taking floor time? Hey, let me help you with the answer. 0. Okay? Now, if you're doing 20 deals a year and you want to get to 50, what are the odds of you getting, say, from 25 to 50, taking open house and floor time, or doing mailings? The answer is 0. Okay? Now, if you're willing to spend the money to buy the business, yes, you can increase your income. The new licensee can't do it. The person doing 20, 25 deals a year probably doesn't have the budget. So you have to go out and find the business. In selling, now guys and gals, let's stop. Decision. Are you a salesperson? If the answer is yes, guess what? You have no choice but to learn how to sell. In selling, to get people to acquire the products or services that you have to go find people. If you're working for IBM or American Airlines or Marriott Corporation or my company, and you're not out trying to find business every day, you get fired, you get terminated. In real estate, pretty rare that happens because you have the option of waiting and or buying. So going out to find business, earning it, is the hard decision to make because it does require that you learn how to prospect, you learn scripts and dialogues, you practice them, you go out and you talk to people you don't know, you get rejected all the time, and business always comes to you at a very minimal cost based on that decision. So we really do have to think about what we're going to do in terms of our decision. So decision, am I going to buy it, wait for it, or earn it? Once I've made that decision, the next decision is relatively easy. I don't know what the date is today as you're watching this particular training session. But I do know that if you don't have or you haven't made the decision to set a goal for the next 12 months, it's tough to really do much of anything in this business. So the second really big decision you have to make is what goal do you have for the next 12 months in terms of business? Now, if you're in the business, say, less than 6 months and you're watching this training session, I'm going to say to you, for the next 12 months, set a goal to do 20 to 25 transactions. For anybody else that's watching, I'm going to tell you to set a goal to add 20 to 25 transactions to your existing business. Now, I can just picture some of you going, what in the world is this guy talking about? He's nuts. I've been in the business for 18 months. I've only done 7 deals. He wants me to add 25 on in 12 months. Watch. Absolutely yes. That's a decision you have to make because, see, if you're not going to make the decision to add to your existing business, then what are you doing? You're virtually saying to yourself that complacency is my goal. Complacency works for me. Complacency, remember, is when you're totally satisfied with what you have. When what you have is as good as it gets. Now, let me tell you something, guys and gals. I don't know if I've ever seen a person who really says they have it as good as it's ever going to get. And if they do, guess what? We wonder if there's something wrong with them. So the next big decision is how many transactions you're going to do in the next 12 months. So if you're a superstar, which I assume some of you are, doing 50, 75 deals a year, can you add 25 to 30 to 40 transactions on? Yes, you can if you choose to. If you're brand new, can you get to 25? Yes, you can if you choose to. And if you're doing 10 or 15, can you add 25? Yes, if you choose to. So one of the catches to make that whole thing work is, and this is a hard one, is to determine your motivation for being in this business, to determine your motivation for working every day, and your motivation for saying that I'm a real estate salesperson. So one of the decisions is to determine the motivation that you have, if you have motivation. Now, watch. Motivation, guys and gals, is a very internal thing. You know, watch. Motivation. Motive to take action. That's what the word means. Motive to take action. Either you're a highly motivated salesperson or you're not. There's no in between. You can't be a little motivated, okay? You can't be a little excited. Either you're excited or you're not excited. So motivation is a decision you have to make. How motivated do you want to become? How motivated do you want to be? How motivated do you want to behave to achieve the goals you've set? So here's the question I'm asked and have been asked for many years. How do you determine an agent's motivation in terms of what they have to sell? So I want to go to the whiteboard here for a minute, and I want to talk to you about this process of determining motivation, because it really is a very critical process. And you know, motivation is not a very difficult thing to figure out. Here's what I'm going to recommend you do to determine your motivation. I want you to do a little exercise for me, if you would. I want you to take, and I want you to write down on a piece of paper the cost, okay, of living for you and your family members for an average month. Okay, what is the cost of living? Now let's take an example. Let's say that it costs you $6,000 per month for you and your family to live. You know, you have house payment and car payment, insurance, and you know, you got some bills you're paying off, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What does it cost you a month to live? Then second, below that, I want you to write down any outside income, okay, that you have outside of your commissions. Does your spouse work? Do you have alimony, child support? Do you have a trust fund? Do you have some rentals that are paying you money? And let's say that your outside income, outside of your income, let's say that represents $3,000 a month. So now you say, okay, what does this mean? Well, then I say number 3, what, okay, is the difference between the two? In this case, as you can see, it's a minus $3,000 a month. Now, what that tells me is, okay, I've got a cost of living of $3,000 a month. I've got outside income, of $6,000. I've got outside income of $3,000, that at some point I have to generate as an agent $3,000 a month for my family to live the way they want to live. So I say, okay, let's look at number 4 in terms of motivation. What is the amount of an average commission check that you would receive? And let's just say, for example, that your average commission check is